So, Dr. Holman, I have a question about urinary tract infections. My observation has been that it seems like I only hear women complain about this type of an issue. Is it something that only affects women, or do men get it too?
Men can get a urinary tract infection. It's not as common, and the reason is because of the anatomy. The urethra of the female is much shorter than that of the male, and also there's cross-contamination that can occur with a female, so that's why you'll see it in women more than men.
Okay, so my next question is, there are some women who hardly ever get them, and then there are some that seem to be plagued by them. They just have a constant issue with it.
Yeah, the ones that have it occasionally, like once or twice in their whole lifetime, they're getting a straight up bacterial infection. They're taking an antibiotic, and their flora in their bladder is able to control anything else that happens. So therefore it's pretty balanced. The ones who have chronic, they have a couple of things going on. More than likely, they started with a bacterial infection. The immunity of the cells of the bladder were not as strong as it could be. The flora was not as strong, and it wasn't aiding off anything that was there. So they got an antibiotic. The antibiotic killed the rest of the flora. They then had cross contamination of candida and yeast, and therefore they got a candida and yeast infection. And what happens, it cycles. It builds up, bacteria comes in, you get another antibiotic, it kills the bacteria, it backs off the yeast, but the yeast is still there and it continues to grow.
Okay. So we have this cycle. So when it's kind of going into the down phase, is that when we can jump in and start preventing it from continuing?
A lot of times you can tell if you have a weak bladder. You don't always have to have the discomfort of a bladder or a yeast infection. You can map it out again, as I have explained in other series, that if you're inside of your corners of your eyes, they're tender, that's usually a bladder that is weak. The sides of your calves, if they're achy, that generally means there's a bladder or kidney infection coming on, because that's where also Chinese has mapped out, that's where the bladder meridians are. Also, people who come in with chronic groin pain, but they know they never sprained it. That's usually a UTI, or it's coming up, or the kidney itself is weak. These are just simple things that the body is telling us before it becomes a problem.
Okay. Well, if you suffer from urinary tract infections and you would like to learn more about how you can prevent them or get to the root cause of them, you can call Dr. Holman in her office, 239-278-5355, and put the power of healing back in your hands.